Have you ever been in a room full of people and still felt completely alone? Have you ever had relationships that looked fine from the outside, but inside you felt unseen, misunderstood, or disconnected? Maybe you've spent years trying to be what everyone needed you to be: the dependable one, the strong one, the peacemaker, the helper, the one who holds it all together. And somewhere along the way, you lost connection with yourself. The truth is this: most relationship problems are not actually relationship problems. They're disconnection problems. Disconnection from ourselves, disconnection from our needs, disconnection from our truth, disconnection from what safety actually feels like. And when we're disconnected from ourselves, we unknowingly bring that disconnection into every relationship we have. Today, we're talking about how to create relationships that feel safe, honest, and alive. Not perfect, not conflict free, not Instagram worthy, but real. Because at the end of the day, I don't think most people are looking for more relationships. I think they're looking for deeper connections. And that begins within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Soul Talk podcast. I'm Marybeth. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm a coach. I'm a runner. I'm also a lifelong student of human behavior. I'm a meditation teacher and someone who has spent nearly 3 decades helping people understand themselves and their relationships more deeply. And here we explore mindfulness, movement, meditation, and the journey of becoming who you truly are. So if these conversations resonate with you, I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and come on over and join me on Substack, where I share additional reflections, insights, and resources throughout the week. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, emotionally exhausted, or simply disconnected from yourself, I invite you to check out my 7-day nervous system reset. It's a gentle, practical meditation experience designed to help you reconnect with your body, calm your nervous system, and create a greater sense of internal safety. And you can find that link in the description of my YouTube channel. Now, let's dive into today's conversation. So, the relationship most people never talk about. So, when people come into therapy, they usually want to talk about someone else: their spouse, their child, their boss, their friend, the difficult coworker, the family member who drives them crazy. But eventually, the conversation always circles back to one place: the relationship that they have with themselves. Because every relationship we experience is filtered through that lens. If I don't trust myself, I'll struggle to trust others. If I don't value myself, I'll constantly seek validation. If I don't feel safe with emotions, I'll avoid difficult conversations. If I abandon myself, I'll tolerate being abandoned by others. This isn't blame, it's awareness. And awareness changes everything. Why so many relationships feel superficial? I think this is one of the biggest challenges today is that we've become incredibly connected to technology and increasingly disconnected emotionally. We know what people had for breakfast. We know where they vacationed. We know what they're watching on Netflix. But we often don't know what they're afraid of, what they're grieving, what they're struggling with, what keeps them awake at night. Real connection requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires safety. The problem is that many people never learn what emotional safety looks like. They learn criticism, they learn performance, they learn perfectionism, they learn people pleasing, they learn survival, but they didn't learn safety. So, what safety actually feels like? When I say safety, I don't mean comfort. Those are not the same thing. Sometimes the safest relationships challenge us. Sometimes the safest conversations are uncomfortable. Sometimes growth itself feels very uncomfortable. Safety is not the absence of discomfort. Safety is the presence of trust. It's knowing I could tell the truth here. I can make mistakes here. I don't have to perform here. I don't have to earn my worth here. I can be human here. And that changes everything. The one thing I've learned over the years, both professionally and personally, is that relationships evolve. The relationship I have with my husband today certainly is not the same relationship we had 40 plus years ago. And honestly, thank goodness, because we both have changed. We've grown. We've struggled. We've faced many, many challenges. We've become different people. Healthy relationships are not static. They're living things. They require attention, curiosity, adaptation, and certainly grace. See, many people expect relationships to stay exactly the same forever. And when people used to come in for couples counseling, this isn't the person that I married. Well, of course it isn't. But relationships are meant to evolve alongside us. The question becomes, can the relationship grow too? And do we have what it takes to grow with it instead of throwing in the towel and walking away when things get really, really hard? Many people spend years hiding, not intentionally, but quietly. We hide our needs. We hide our fears. We hide our disappointments, our dreams. We tell ourselves it isn't worth bringing up. They won't understand. I don't want to cause problems. So we stay silent. But every time we silence ourselves, a little more disconnection enters the relationship. And eventually resentment begins to grow. Resentment is often what happens when authenticity has been absent for too long. So the courage to be seen sounds beautiful until it's time to actually do it. Then it becomes terrifying because being seen means risk. It means showing someone who you really are, not the polished version, not the capable version, not the strong version, the real version, the scared version, the grieving version, the uncertain version, and most importantly, the human version. And yet, that is where true intimacy begins. Not perfection, presence. You see, emotional safety, it starts inside. This may be one of the most important things I can share today. We often expect other people to create safety for us. And certainly healthy relationships contribute to safety. But internal safety comes first. If I cannot sit with my own emotions, I will struggle with when others have emotions. And most people do that. They struggle with other people's anger. They struggle with other people's sadness. They would much rather walk away instead of sitting with them and understanding. And that's sad. So if I judge myself harshly, I will often interpret others through that same lens. If I constantly abandon my own needs, I'll expect others to rescue me. Internal safety creates relational safety. The relationship we build with ourselves becomes the blueprint for every other relationship. So honest relationships, they require honest conversations. Let's talk about something most people avoid: conflict. Healthy relationships are not conflict free, not by a long shot. You don't enter into a marriage thinking that you will never fight with your spouse or any relationship, because healthy relationships know how to move through conflict. A big difference, because conflict is inevitable. Disconnection doesn't have to be. What creates problems isn't disagreement. It's avoidance. It's defensiveness. It's criticism. It's silence. It's also assumptions. And honest relationships require honest conversations. Not perfect conversations, not scripted conversations, honest ones. So relationships that feel alive, I love this word, alive, because some relationships are technically functioning, but emotionally dead. The logistics are happening. The responsibilities are being managed. The calendar is full. The bills are paid. But the connection is missing. Alive relationships have curiosity. They have laughter. They have growth. They have meaningful conversations. They have moments of genuine presence. They have room for both people to keep becoming. Live relationships don't require perfection. They require participation. So letting the relationships change, it's one of the hardest parts of growth is accepting that not every relationship grows with us. Some relationships deepen. Some relationships evolve. Some relationships, they naturally just drift apart. This can feel heartbreaking, but it doesn't mean anyone failed. Sometimes people are connected for a season. Sometimes they're connected for a lifetime. Parts of living forward is allowing relationships to become what they are instead of forcing them to remain what they were. And that's maturity. That's a mature relationship. That's wisdom. And that's love. So, what is the kind of relationship that we need? As we get older, I think our definition of relationship changes. We stop needing quantity. We stop needing big groups of friends. We start craving quality. We stop needing attention. We start craving that authenticity. We stop needing approval. And we most definitely start craving a connection. We begin looking for people who make us feel more like ourselves rather than less. Those relationships become incredibly valuable. As we close this final week of living forward, I want to leave you with a question. What would change if you brought just a little more honesty into your relationships? Not radical honesty, not brutal honesty, compassionate honesty. What would change if you trusted yourself enough to speak your truth? What would change if you stopped performing and started showing up? What would change if you allowed yourself to be fully seen? Because the goal was never perfection. The goal is connection. Connection with yourself. Connection with others. Connection with your life. And when we create relationships that feel safe, honest, and alive, we stop merely surviving our lives. We start participating in them. And that changes everything. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Soul Talk podcast today and spending this time with me. Really appreciate it. And if this episode spoke to you at all, please share it with someone who may need to hear this message. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also join me on Substack for any additional reflections and conversations throughout the week. And don't forget the daily meditations that go along with this episode. And if you're realizing that deeper connection begins with feeling safer within yourself, I'd love to invite you to my 7-day nervous system reset. It's a gentle and accessible way to begin creating the internal safety that supports healthier relationships, clearer boundaries, and a more connected life. As we conclude the Living Forward series, my hope is that you carry this truth with you. You don't need to become someone else to create meaningful relationships. You simply need the courage to bring more of yourself into them. Keep putting in the miles, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Take good care of yourself and keep living forward. Until next time, I'm Marybeth Rim.